In the quiet, early hours of Valentine's Day 2019, a woman named Olivia Jones was doing something simple, shopping for groceries at an HB Plus store in Texas. She was planning a special dinner for her husband, Chris, and as she browsed, a bouquet of pink and red roses caught her eye, symbols of affection and passion. She added them to her cart, completely unaware that in less than 40 minutes, she would be dead, the victim of a twisted and tragic version of love. Police would soon find her on the bedroom floor of their home in Beaumont, Texas. Just 11 minutes before that discovery, her husband Chris had made a panic 911 call.
Beaumont 911, what is the address of your emergency?
Olivia! Please, hurry. Someone take the gun.
Tell me what's going on.
I'm at home, I'm right inside the head. Please.
Somebody shot in the head.
My wife, please!
Officers were immediately dispatched to the Jones residence at 5575 Pine Bur Boulevard. They arrived at approximately 8:55 a.m. Responding officer Otis Butler, who knew both Chris and Olivia personally, approached the home with his body camera rolling. He was met by a visibly distraught Chris, who begged officers to hurry inside.
She in my bedroom. Where's the gun?
In the bedroom, broken down, on the dresser. Come this way.
Okay.
Please, come this way.
Okay.
Please. Olivia!
Officers entered the home and rushed to the bedroom where they found Olivia lying face down, unresponsive.
Baby!
Sir. Okay. Sit back.
What's up, Mr. Butler? I tried to take it.
Get his in.
Mom!
Blood was everywhere, spattered across the walls, soaked into the carpet. They gently rolled her over and discovered a horrifying injury, a gunshot wound to the back of her head with the bullet exiting through her right eye. Yet somehow, Olivia was still alive. Paramedics quickly arrived and began tending to Olivia while police secured the scene. Officer Butler then asked Chris to explain what had happened.
What happened? We had a disagreement. And I say, baby, if you're not working with me, you're working against me. I say, we've been doing this. My 19-year-old stepdaughter was 8. My 11-year-old was 1. I say, Olivia, we can't get it together. We can't be together. Okay. We got several bleachers. And I say, I just want a divorce. And her reaction was, she got the gun? I said, give me the gun. She like, I don't remember which hand. I'm like, give me that gun. What is you doing? Stop trying to scare me. I took it.
So when you grabbed it, it went off?
She yanked. I grabbed it and she yanked back. And the gun went off.
Okay.
The gun went off.
Chris's version of events raised immediate doubts. How could Olivia, a smaller woman, wrestle a loaded gun from a man of Chris's size? Why was there no sign of a struggle? As Chris dropped to his knees in dramatic fashion, one thing was missing: tears. He then pleaded with Officer Butler to let him check on Olivia.
Mr. Butler, I got help.
No. You don't need to go in there, okay?
Is she alive?
Yeah, she is.
She is.
We got him.
Is she alive, Mr. Butler? Please don't tell me she's alive and she's not.
Yeah, when I saw her, she was.
She was talking?
She wasn't talking.
Is she breathing?
It looked like she was breathing, yeah.
Ooh, good.
Don't go in there, sir.
Please.
Sir, I need you to stay right here with me, okay? And calm down.
Calm down.
Chris's reaction wasn't what Officer Butler expected. There was no relief in his voice when he was told Olivia was still alive. Just confusion and more dramatics. Back inside the home, Olivia's injuries were too severe. At just after 9 a.m., she was pronounced dead. While paramedics left with Olivia, police continued their search of the house. And what they found added more suspicion. There were surveillance cameras not just outside but inside the home, including 2 set up in the living room watching the interior. They also located the weapon used in the shooting, a 9mm handgun, still covered in blood. As officers secured the crime scene, they noticed something that didn't quite add up. The handgun used to shoot Olivia was found in a different room than where the shooting occurred. If Olivia truly had the weapon in her hand when it discharged, how did it end up across the house? The only logical explanation was that Chris had moved the gun after the fact. With this discovery, officers decided to detain Chris for further questioning, pending a deeper investigation into what really happened. As Chris was being placed in the back of a squad car, his Detective Mendy Freeman and Sergeant Yet Barrero, from the forensics unit, arrived at the residence and were brought up to speed on Chris's version of events.
Elevator in their bedroom. And she did that. He claims he reached for the gun to try to get it from her. And when he reached for it and they struggle over it, boom.
While detectives processed the scene, Olivia's sister Angela also arrived. The sight of her triggered another emotional breakdown from Ariel, as evidence was carefully collected, including the firearm, blood samples, and camera recordings. Chris was transported to the station, his hands still covered in Olivia's blood. When detectives finally sat down with Chris, they began by asking what led to the argument that morning.
I am very particular. If you heard that, that's true. I am very particular. You strive for the best for people. I work really hard, and I don't make excuses for myself, and I don't accept excuses for anybody else.
After telling her that he wanted a divorce, she went to the bedroom and grabbed the gun.
What did you say?
Really? You serious? Really? This is not going to solve anything.
Okay.
You know, this is not, you do not want to do that. Put that freaking gun down before you make a mistake and hurt yourself. She was crying. She was crying.
Chris then handed over his cell phone, which had access to their home security camera system.
You want to access just that camera. You touch that. And that's just that camera. Okay. You follow what I'm saying?
So far, let's go back to devices.
Yes, sir.
And
everything is labeled.
carport, backyard, front door, back door, laundry room, inside garage, living room, kitchen.
Police reviewed the footage hoping to confirm his story. At 8:41 a.m., Olivia could be seen in the kitchen going about her morning as usual. But then the footage cuts out. For exactly 3 minutes, there's no video. At 8:44 a.m., the system comes back online. This time, Chris is seen pacing nervously, already on the phone with 911. At 8:55 a.m., responding officers enter the home. This means the shooting took place during the unexplained 3-minute gap, a massive red flag. Detectives asked Chris to explain the missing video.
Still trying to pull up these videos here, okay? Why would there be no recordings on that?
I don't know. It should be. Everybody that went in that house should be on it. But like I said, the internet, you can go through days and it pretty much does we shouldn't have bought that. You just keep, like, you can pick whatever day you want and it's never going to be consistent. That's why I say it was a waste of money.
Well, I'm wanting desperately to find some video on here that corroborates what you're telling us, but almost all the videos start right after this event happened.
Chris offered excuse after excuse, camera glitches, internet issues, unreliable software. But detectives weren't buying it. Chris was the only one with access to the footage. It was far more likely that he had deleted or disabled the camera manually. With no footage to verify his claims, detectives asked Chris to physically reenact how he supposedly tried to disarm Olivia.
What was it? Give me the... Okay, then I'll go. I'm sorry.
You're good.
No, you're good.
I like the chair.
I'm sorry. You're fine.
I like the chair, man.
I'm reliving it.
You are.
I'm reliving it.
So she should be shot in the back of her right head.
Did you feel me twist your? Did you feel me twist?
Back here.
Did you feel me twist your? I twisted.
But Chris's reenactment raised even more questions. His demonstration seemed inconsistent and improvised, almost as if he was inventing details on the spot. So they turned their attention to others, starting with Olivia's sister, Angela.
Olivia Jones is her sister, right? We've been talking a lot lately. We talk every day. I drop her baby to her at the tax office. She's always been timid about everything. But she was the type that whatever went on in their home, she would keep it there. She loved her baby so much that she felt like she had to live for them. She would never.
Angela then revealed the deep control Chris had over Olivia's life.
He can't talk on the phone after a certain time. He controlled the finances. He never wanted to be in the presence of her family. family reunions, anything, he never came. Like, his character is to be aggressive. I just don't get it. She wanted to live for her babies.
Then came a haunting testimony from Chris's ex-wife, Letitia, who dated him back in the late 90s.
I met Chris Jones in 1999. It was just like a constant fight. Like, he strangled me, choked me out, drugged me through the house. My skin was missing off my back. One time he bit my hand. It was because I was extremely in fear of my life. Because I knew and I felt in my heart that he would kill me.
The most heartbreaking testimony, though, came from Olivia's daughter, Ariel.
One time they were arguing and I heard her say she couldn't breathe. I would see bruises on her. Everybody knows my mom. Everybody knows my mom. Everybody knows that we were her world.
With every interview, the mountain of evidence and abuse grew taller. Detectives returned to the station and pressed Chris again, especially about the missing camera footage.
To be honest, I videos.
I look guilty.
No,
I'm not deleting those videos. I look guilty.
Not if you say right now, what you just said a while ago. I freaked out. I panicked. I did some stuff I shouldn't have done. Is that one of them?
Yes.
How many did you delete?
I don't know, honestly.
Okay.
I'm just afraid of being blamed for something I did do something that looks really bad on me.
That partial confession was a breakthrough, but the most critical 3 minutes of footage were still gone. Still, detectives combed through what remained of the surveillance recordings to build a picture of daily life inside the home. What they found was chilling.
Then you're gonna be looking stupid. Look on the floor. Look on the floor. Look on the floor, Mike. Look on the floor. Look on the floor. Look on the floor. Look on the... Why is that like that? You're not paying attention. What the man?
Okay, Leah.
You wasn't worried about the son of a bitch a minute ago. That's your mother. Look at me like that, bitch. I'm not playing with you. Lazy. You want to do something, not enough? Give it here. You got all the goddamn answers. You don't do a goddamn thing around this. Right. This your ass, bitch.
I know I was gonna be.
That's clean dish. That's clean.
I didn't want to. They fell on the floor, so I didn't want to reuse them.
You look at it. You don't pay attention to what the you doing. You all over the place, Olivia. You ain't got the chance to claim no home. Food on the wall. Who you burning now?
Me?
Harriet don't live here. It's you. It's always been you.
In clip after clip, Chris could be seen berating, belittling, and bullying Olivia. He'd scream about house chores, accuse her of not listening, and even curse her out in front of her daughter.
Yeah. You collected unemployment. You just had coffee. And most men in this world want a woman that got what? You wouldn't be doing this if I wouldn't have got upset. You would have bagged that. Life would be so much easier for me if you start thinking. You do dumb because you don't think.
The abuse wasn't hidden, it was routine. These recordings confirmed everything Olivia's family had told investigators. Detectives pulled Chris's criminal record next, and it only strengthened the case. He had a long history of violence, including multiple assault charges in 1996, a domestic assault in 1998 that landed him in jail. Though authorities were still waiting on forensic analysis, they believed they now had enough to proceed.
Morning, a Beaumont man is now facing murder charges in a Valentine's Day shooting of his wife. Police say this man, Christopher Ray Jones, who worked as a correctional counselor at the Beaumont Federal Prison, killed his wife, Olivia.
Chris Jones, once a correctional counselor at the Beaumont Federal Prison, now stood accused of murdering his own wife. In April 2019, he was officially charged with first-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter for the Valentine's Day killing of Olivia Jones. But what shocked the community was what happened next. Within 24 hours of being charged, Chris was released on a $150,000 bond with nothing more than a GPS ankle monitor and house arrest. Outrage quickly spread on social media where users posted reactions like, "Can't believe he's out on just $150,000 bond." What is wrong with the system? How can a man charged with murder be walking free? Despite being under house arrest, the judge granted Chris permission to continue operating his family's food truck business called One Plate at a Time, located right next to his home. As public opinion turned against him, Chris's reputation deteriorated even further when crime lab results came back.
See, how would anyone want to support someone who murdered their wife on Valentine's Day, which is a day that we are supposed to celebrate love, and the day that she was going to celebrate that with him, he decides to take her life.
Chris's images showed that the bullet trajectory and impact did not match Chris's version of events. And there was more. No gunshot residue was found on Olivia's hands, strongly suggesting she did not fire the weapon. But gunshot residue was found on Chris's hands and clothing. Despite overwhelming forensic evidence, Chris pleaded not guilty. While his trial date was pending, Olivia's family gathered on Valentine's Day to honor her memory.
He's domestic violence, and red was one of her favorite colors.
1 year ago today, Joshua Simmons lost his sister.
Valentine's Day was one of her favorite holidays.
I would give almost anything to have her back right now.
What's this year been like for you and your family?
If you can wrap it up in one word, it would be frustrating. Him to spend the rest of his life in prison, while my sister spent the rest of her life in the grave.
That justice would finally arrive, but only after more than 3 years. In February 2022, the courtroom was packed with supporters from both sides as Christopher Ray Jones stood trial for the murder of Olivia. Prosecutors Jimmy Ham and Mike Laird described Chris as a controlling, abusive partner with a violent past and an explosive temper. They argued this outcome was not random, it was inevitable. His defense attorney, Ryan Gertz, claimed the shooting was a tragic accident, that Chris only tried to take the gun after Olivia waved it recklessly. But expert testimony from forensic pathologist Celestina Rossi crushed that defense. The jury deliberated, but their decision was swift. On February 8, 2022, Christopher Jones was found guilty of murdering his wife Olivia. It had taken 1,118 days, but Olivia's family finally saw justice served. Chris faced the possibility of a life sentence, but in an agreement with the state
to a 30-year sentence because of the potential risk of, an even higher sentence.
He accepted a 30-year prison sentence in exchange for waiving his right to appeal. While the family had hoped for more, they accepted the plea, knowing that this chapter was finally closed. During sentencing, Olivia's 2 daughters took the stand. Throughout the trial, prosecutors painted a clear picture of a home ruled by fear and emotional control. Chris's defense team argued that no one could ever know exactly what happened in that bedroom. But the jury didn't buy it, and neither did Olivia's family. As they walked out of the courtroom that final day, they looked at each other and said,
that we'll never know what happened in that room. Ultimately, my impression from the jurors is that they just didn't believe Chris's version of events, and that really only left the one alternative.
This was for Olivia, and today she won. Christopher Ray Jones is currently serving his sentence at the John M. Wynne Unit in Huntsville, Texas.